everyone, welcome to episode 90 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. Today it is September 28th. It is already the end of another month in 2024 and I can't believe it. Time is just flying by so quickly. I have a lot of updates for you all this week. And I'm really excited to share it with you all today. I have one new cast on. There's some projects that I haven't worked on in some time that I finally got some work on this week. And that's really exciting to get some progress done on those. And let's see, some spinning updates. And yeah, I didn't touch all of the projects that I have on my needles right now. I looked at my Ravelry, as long as it's correct, because sometimes I forget to put my, new projects in Ravelry. I try to make a project in Ravelry as soon as I cast on something, but sometimes I forget. But I hope I have it all, because right now I have over 10. I think I have like 12 projects on the needles right now, and it's kind of crazy. So I didn't get to knit on all of them this week, but I've made good progress on the ones that I did. And yeah, I'm just excited to share it with you all. So let's start with what I am wearing today. This is a sweater that I knit, was it last year maybe? This is the Lighthouse Keeper Pullover by Lindsey Fowler. It is a pattern that is in her Salt and Timber book. And since I am using that book right now to make the Culmination blanket, which Lindsey Fowler is doing a knit along right now, when I was trying to figure out what to wear for the podcast today, I was like, oh, I knit a sweater from that book, and I'm kind of like, feeling like just kind of doing that kind of matchup, and so I decided to wear the sweater. It's also, I'm very cold today, and this is a heavier weight sweater, just a little bit, and so I thought it'd be a good sweater to wear today. Again, it's the Lighthouse Keeper Pullover, and the yarn I used for this, I actually held two different kinds of yarn together to knit this. So first yarn, which is I think like the main yarn, is Cascade yarn, Cascade 220. It is a worsted weight yarn in the color natural. The number for that, the color number I guess, is 8010. And I held that together with Explore Knits and Fibers Suri Alpaca lace in the colorway Peaches and Cream. And so it is a very, because it's basically a natural colored yarn with a really light peachy colored suri, I think you can tell in the camera, maybe not, I'll have to get up a little closer. It's just this really nice, soft, the suri is a variegated colorway, but again, because it is a light color on a light color, it just creates this really soft, just subtle kind of color differences that you can see. And then the details, I believe this slip stitch raglan and also these, I forget how these are made, but this kind of striped detail is only with the Cascade yarn. And so depending on the color choice that you combine with for this sweater, you could get a really contrasting stripe here, but because my colors are very light, they're not super contrasty, but I still really like it, and it's definitely my kind of vibe, and so yeah, I'm very happy with it, and I have been wearing it, off and on, here and there. But again, because it is a worsted weight yarn with the suri, it does have to be kind of cold for me to wear this and be comfortable and not too sweaty, and it's perfect for right now. Let's see, I don't remember too much about this pattern in terms of if I made any modifications. I don't think I did. If anything, maybe a length modification, but everything seems to be kind of spaced out pretty evenly. I will scooch back here a little bit. It is not a cropped sweater. It's pretty normal, or a full length sweater. My belly button's right here. I feel like that's might be a weird thing to point out, but I feel like it's a good reference point to see how long something is and fits on me, because for me, if a sweater is above my belly button, that's too cropped for me, or it would require me to wear a shirt under it always. So for me, that's my favorite reference point for length of sweaters on me. length of sleeve is really nice. It does look like there's... Actually, I wonder, were there decreases on this? Actually, no, maybe not. Is there? No, no, there are decreases on the sleeve here. Just a little bit. And it fits really nicely, I think. At least, like, you know, right now, or what I have. It's not too tight anywhere, but I would not call this, like, you know, an oversized sleeve or something that's hanging. It does just kind of, like, fit really nicely. Cuff width is really nice. I can fold, or not fold up, but just, like, bring the sleeves up like this, and it stays up on my arms, and I don't have to worry about that, so that is super nice. And I don't know, I really like it. It fits good. I think the one thing is I don't know if there is a front and back to this sweater. This seems to... I seem to recall that the front and back might be the same. I don't know. There might not be front and back shaping for this sweater. I couldn't tell when I was putting it on. So that is maybe like one thing about this that I seem to remember. I will say that this neckline is a bit, I think, yeah, it looks pretty straight, and I'm pretty sure it's the same on both front and back. So it is kind of like touching this part of my neck where I find, even if something's really soft, to be just like a tad itchy to me. It's just like right here. But overall fit is fine. Speaking of fit, I did measure this before I put this on today, just in case measurements have changed since the last time I talked about it. I think I talked about this, I talked about it on a podcast episode, but maybe it was a really long time ago. But anyway, I knit size 5, and that might be like, whoa, because I'm mostly knitting size 1 or 2 of patterns. However, this sweater does have, or this pattern goes from children's sizes to adult sizes. So I am size 5 for this sweater. I used US 8 and US 6 needles for this. And final measurements right now, I took them right before filming, 35 inches in circumference. So that gives me about 5 inches of positive ease. And it fits really nice. It's cozy. It's not too tight. It's not too loose. The armhole depth is really nice. It's not bunching. It's really great. I like it. So yeah, so that is what I'm wearing today. Now, let's finally go into my whips for this week. Okay, this is the one. I wanted to talk about this because it's exciting. Oh, I guess this is my one kind of finished object this week. I did not block it though, but it's going to take forever to dry, and so that will just be later. Look what came back onto my needles this week. The Stella Quilt cushion. This is the Stella Quilt cushion number 3, I believe, for me. And if you haven't been watching my videos from when I kind of started this whole project, just a really quick overview. I am planning on making Stella Quilt cushions for all of my cousins for their Christmas gifts this year. And I started, I think I probably started, I started a few months ago. I was on track on making one of these every month, and then after I moved, everything kind of went crazy and I stopped working on them. And yeah, but now they are back on my needles, so that's really exciting. Part of the reason why I stopped working on them for a little bit is because I am dyeing yarn for them. So for the front of the pillows, or the cushion, the pillow covers, they will all look the same for me and my cousins. And so I am making one for myself, one for my sister, and I have 3 cousins. So I'm making 5 total. This is number 3. So I am officially now over halfway done with this entire project, and that's really exciting. But anyway, so all of the front of these will look the same for all of us. All of these, I guess you can call them contrasting colors, all the colorful parts of the front, are all different colorways from Woolberry, all in the berry cashmere base. It is a fingering weight base, but I'm holding it double. And all of them, I have all of the names of them, the colorways, in the description down below. If you have questions about specific colors, just leave a comment and I will respond. But They are all colorways from the Anne of Green Gables collection that Woolberry had. And I was part of the club, and so I had one skein of each of the colorways, and so I think this was a really cute way to use up some of those colors. And the white color, kind of like the background color for this pattern, is a hand-dyed color by me. It is just, it's white. It's very, 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 very light gray white. And so it's just a little more gray, a little less yellow than just a bare yarn. So I had to dye more of that color just because I ran out. But the last time I talked about this specific one, so number 3, I was in the middle of knitting the back, and for all of these, I am also dyeing the back of the color, and they will all be different colors for the back. It's for each of my cousins and my sister's favorite color. So their pillows will be with their favorite color on the back, and I am dyeing those. And I ran out of this color, and I had to go and dye yarn, and I just couldn't, in the middle of all of the unpacking and finding where everything is, and just like having enough space to do that just took a really long time. And last weekend I finally had some time and space to dye some yarn. And so I dyed more of this yellow color. I actually, I realize now I have a lot of things to say about this. So I was in the middle of this last time we talked, and you can probably see the line. So for the back of this pillow, it is knit in a very similar way to the front. And so you start in one corner and you knit, increase. So it's basically knit like this. Starting from this corner, you increase, and then you decrease to this corner. And then I am doing the envelope closure. And so there is this flap that also gets knit at the top. But I was going to say, you can see this line right here. That is the difference in the color dyeing from when I dyed this first skein to my next one. And yeah, this is a really interesting thing for me to be trying out and to be, knitting with my hand-dyed yarn for projects like this. I don't think my cousins will mind at all with this line in the back. They might be able to notice it, but for the back of the pillow, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. But for me, it is very interesting to see how difficult it is to get consistent color across different, basically, dye batches. Because I did note, I didn't do exactly what I did for the first one, because what I did was, since I was testing out colors, just in case I didn't like a color that came out for one of the pillows. I didn't want to dye like 2 skeins at a time. So for this first yellow color, and also for this next one that I will talk about, I only dyed 1 skein. This first skein of this yellow, and I really liked it, but I predicted I would need 2 more skeins to finish the pillow. And so what I did was I had my recipe for the dye of the 1 skein, and I doubled it because 2 skeins means doubling the amount of dye. And so that's what I did. But what I am seeing is, and now I am understanding, even if you double a recipe and you're like, it should be the same, the skeins come out, at least what I've noticed for myself, is when you dye 1 skein a certain way and you double the recipe to dye 2, the 2 always end up slightly lighter than that first one dyed by itself. And so I think that there is really a good reason that hand-dyed yarn people, at least that when I hear some of them talk about when they're testing out colorways, that they do it in the same number of batches or like yarn skeins that they would for actual production of that colorway. So if it's like 4 skeins at a time, they would dye them or test the colors in batches of 4. That way the recipe is actually more consistent that way, and you actually see what it would look like across. So that is a lesson that I am learning. I still think I'm not really I will still probably do a 1 skein test or something if I'm just messing around with colors, because then I'll get something really close. You know, it's close. You can tell that it's the same, similar color, you know, so yeah, but again, it's just learnings, right? So yeah, I am finding this process very interesting, but another thing though is, okay, for the front of all of these pillows, I am using a fingering weight held double to get around a DK weight. And kind of as predicted, my first two pillows for the back, I did the same, where I had a fingering weight held double for the back, and I needed 3 skeins, not all of it, but I needed like 2 skeins and a little bit to finish the back. And so, but then I realized I was running out of fingering weight undyed yarn to do the backs of the rest of the pillows to dye the yarn for. So, but I had DK weight yarn, and so I was like, oh, I'll just use DK weight yarn for the back of these pillows. I dyed 3 skeins of this total, but I only needed 2. But I really used up all of the 2 skeins when I was doing the I-cord bind off here for this flap. I was a little worried I was going to run out. Not like I had an extra skein, so I wasn't like, oh shoot, I'm going to have to like dye more yarn. But I was like, I am so close. It would be so annoying to have to wind up another skein just to use like this much yarn. But I am serious. Like, I have just like the time, like actually if I unwound it, maybe it's like this much yarn left of this yellow, but it really was like all 2 skeins, 2 full skeins to finish the back of this. But that is really nice. And so when I dye the next one, then maybe I only need to dye 2 skeins for that color. But yeah, I am finished with Stella Quilt cushion number 3, and that is very exciting for me. And again, I still need to wash it and block it. It is a very thick and heavy knit, and so it takes a long time to dry. So I don't even know if I don't wash this, I think at the beginning of this coming week, it won't even be dry for me to talk about in the next podcast episode. But anyway, that is Stella Quilt cushion number 3. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be back working on this. And it was a good break to have, I think, because I am, again, knitting a lot of these. But it was good. I'm happy to be back. Okay, I'm not even done yet because I was also in the middle of, I kind of had the quilt cushion number 3 and 4 going at the same time, because when I ran out of the yellow, I decided to just cast on number 4 and do that until I ran out of the white. And so, but I didn't finish that because I needed more white. But I finally also finished. I also finished the front of number 4. I think I needed to do 5 squares to finish this one, so it wasn't too much more, but it was good progress. And so the front of number 4 is done, and I will be doing the back of this one hopefully this coming week. And yeah, so that's really exciting. It feels like lots of progress has been made, and it has, but these 2 were kind of like almost done, at least in the portions that they were at, or in the states that they were at before I picked them back up this week. And I wanted to show to you, I did also, when I was doing all of my yarn dyeing, I did dye the color for the back of this one. I have one of them skeined up, and this is, it's a dark green. And yeah, so this will be the back of this pillow, and I think that'll be really nice. This is the first pillow that's going to have a really dark color of my hand-dyed yarn. The first pillow I made for me is a dark brown, but that was not yarn dyed by me. So this is the first dark colored yarn that was dyed by me, and so I'm hoping that there will be no issues of bleeding with it. That would be kind of sad if there was. But, you know, I gotta try it out at some point, and so this will be This will be a good trial. When I washed this after I dyed it, there wasn't really any color bleeding, so I'm hoping that it's fine. But yeah, so just kind of wanted to hold this up so you can see what's to come of the back of this pillow, number 4. And yeah, so that should be done pretty soon, in the next couple or few weeks. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this at the same pace as I was for the first 2.5 pillows, because I don't know, it just feels like there's not enough time for anything at the end of this year. But I'm still, if this is, I'm halfway done with number 4 and then I just have number 5 to go, and this is for, Christmas in December, I'm not really worried about my deadline. And I did plan this to have a lot of time just in case things happen, and things have happened and I'm still good. And so feeling good about this. I'm not feeling stressed. I just feel like, I do have to work on this at least every week. Maybe not every day, but every week for sure. So yeah, so this is going to be Stella Quilt cushion number 4. I can't believe that that's number 4 already. Okay, enough about my Stella Quilt cushions. I'm very excited about them, just because it is a big, a bigger project, just because I'm making multiples of them. Okay, this next one, the rest of my garment knitting, I feel like has just been working a little bit on them, and so progress for them isn't looking all that exciting, but again, I just want to share it with you all. So this is my Milton cardigan by Locatelli. It's looking the same probably from last week. I am still working on the second sleeve. I worked a little bit more on it this week than I did last week. This is my stitch marker from last week, and so I am almost done with the decreases for this. I really think I could get this sleeve done this coming week, and then I can get back to working on the body for this. I think I might need just like maybe this much more to the sleeve until I work the cuff. And so, yeah, I just want to get these sleeves done, because having the body on hold is kind of, I don't know, I just want to work back on the body again. And like I have shown before, I do have like my first ball of Suri still attached to the body, because, I don't know, I just thought, I don't want to. Any way you can like reduce the number of yarn ends. So when I finished my fingering weight yarn on the body, that's when I switched to the sleeves, but I still had some of this Suri, but I didn't want to unattach this, attach it to the sleeve, run out on a sleeve, do the second Suri, and then reattach it here. And so I'm just holding the small ball here to finish that once I get back on the body. So that's kind of like the situation that's happening right now. And yeah, it is kind of heavy because the clip I have on it is kind of heavy, and so I just need to like make sure it doesn't fall. I don't want it to pull on anything while I'm knitting on this, and so it all just has to sit on my lap. It is light. It is basically like a half Suri sweater, and it's fingering weight also, so it's very light. It's not like super heavy, but it is pretty bulky, and with the sleeves, if something, droops down, it kind of pulls everything down with it. But yes, this is my Milton. The yarn I'm using for this again is both Woolberry. The blue one here is Berry Natural, the non-superwash base, in the colorway Seashore, and then this Suri is Berry Suri in the colorway Camp Woolberry. And I say this again, I feel like with all my knits every time, but I am enjoying this knit. I think so far the only part I didn't enjoy was the short rows on the sleeves, at the top of the sleeves here, for kind of like that sleeve, just the shoulder shaping on the sleeve, just because it is striped and you have to kind of like carry your yarn in specific ways and times, and that was just not something you can do and watch TV at the same time. So there was less times when I'm knitting where I feel like I was like prepared to do that. So, but it worked out fine. It looks great. So, as long as it looks great, then I think it's worth it. So that's my Milton. Oh, I am knitting size 2. I'm using US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit that. And yeah, that's it. That's all the progress for the Milton. Okay, next up I have just another quick progress update on my Traveler Shawl by Andrea Mowry. I am using my Handspun for this. It was a combo spin from fiber from Little Fiber Co. It was Rambouillet. All 3 braids were Rambouillet, but all different colorways from the In the Clouds collection. And it's looking great. Again, I feel like this is one that probably just looks the same. Here is my, is this really my progress marker? Okay, I worked just like a little bit, maybe 5 rows, but the rows are getting very long. I think I'm over 200 stitches now. I'm over 200 stitches now. So it's okay. It still needs to get a lot bigger, but I am just, it's a good comfort knit. I like having a shawl comfort knit, but it's getting cold right now. And okay, I feel like I say that every week because it gets cold and then it gets warm again. And then it gets cold and then it gets warm again. But this week I really have been wearing some of my shawls during work. And I was like, I want this shawl. I want to wear this shawl. So who knows, there could be a time in the next coming weeks where I'm just like, let's just get some progress done on this. More progress done. But right now it's a good, just relaxing knit. I'm not getting tired of it, which is good. I think if I'm knitting with my Handspun, it is less likely for me to get tired of it, because even if the pattern is like, oh my gosh, it's the same thing for a really long time, because it's Handspun, I'm just like, ooh, it's my Handspun. I'm still knitting with my Handspun. So, yeah, it's been nice, and I'm just I just wish I had this done already so I could use it. It's good shawl weather right now. So yeah, but that is my quick progress update on that. I was kind of hoping I could finish up my first skein. I have 2 big skeins of my Handspun of this, and I was hoping I could finish up the first one. It's so small right now, but I just didn't. So yeah, maybe this coming week I will finish up that first little bit of my first skein and finally wind up my second skein of the Handspun. But that is that project. Let's see. Oh, and I am knitting size 2 for that one, using US 7 needles or 4.5 millimeter needles to knit that. Yeah, that I think is all details for that one for now. Oh, okay. I have some progress on this project, which is one I didn't work on last week, but I wanted to get some progress done on it this week. Just a little bit, not too much. Really isn't too much, but my Louder Vest by Rebecca Clow. The yarn I'm using for this is So Happy Jane in confetti worsted. It is a Shanico wool base and confetti worsted because it's a worsted weight base, and there's little colorful tweed bits in there, and it's just so cute. And I'm loving the squish and the density. I'm just liking the fabric that this is creating for this vest, and yeah, it's just working out really nicely. So I am knitting size 2. I'm using US 5 needles or 3.75 millimeter needles for, I think, is that probably, nope, I'm reading the wrong details. Okay, let me back it up. I am knitting size 1. I'm using US 3 needles or 3.25 millimeter needles to knit this. And that's the details for the Louder Vest. This is a kind of like mini knit along or a knit with friends project. I am knitting the Louder Vest along with my friend Megan, who is a Naughty Mess here on YouTube. She also has a podcast. If you haven't watched her, definitely check her out. She is the best. And we're both knitting the same vest pattern. We're both doing the V-neck version, and yeah, it's going great. I brought this to Knit Night last week to work on it, and I was happy that Megan also brought hers, and so we're kind of working on it together. We're just like comparing how ours look next to each other, just because we have two pretty different yarn choices, and yeah, they're different, but they're both great, and I love the color that she chose for hers. It's going to be such a good, I feel like, staple piece that you could wear with a lot of things, and yeah, I'm happy with mine as well. So yeah, I don't know, it's good. The cable rows really just kind of take a long time, and they happen every 4 rows or rounds, and so it really, the cabling happens often. But for me, the thing that, actually let me also show you my progress marker. Do I have one? Yeah, I do. Okay, last time I was barely joined under the arms. And so I've worked this much this past week. Good progress, I think, for not, just kind of touching on a lot of projects this week. And yeah, it's a lot of cables. It's all around cables. All around. And so the cable roll takes just a really, really long time. Oh my gosh, my stitches fell off my needles. Yeah, the cable row just takes a really long time, but what I think is, what I keep reminding myself though, is like, even though the row or the round takes a long time, at least the cables, you're only ever crossing 2/2 for these, and the pattern is easy to memorize, so I don't have to look at the cable chart to work on this. And I've noticed that when I work on cabled things, the cables that hurt my hands to knit are kind of like anything more than 3. Maybe sometimes if it's a 3/3, it's okay too, but that's when it starts kind of hurting my hands. So 2/2 I feel like works really easily. I don't work with a cable needle also, so I just feel less stress when I'm slipping those stitches off my needles and having them completely off to do the twist. But it's been enjoyable. I just have a lot of other projects and some test knits going that kind of I just put priority over to work on, and so it's kind of why I haven't been working on this too much, but I feel like whenever I see Megan's progress on hers, I'm like, oh, I want to work on mine too. So yeah, I mean, the ideal goal would be at some point, hopefully we can finish somewhere around the same time. I mean, actually that doesn't matter, but all I want is a cute picture of us, both me and Megan, with our louder vests finished. I think that would be cute. So it's just working in the round. No increases, no decreases, just in the round in the pattern right now for a good amount, because I still have a lot more under the arms to go. So that's, again, another quick, I just wanted to touch a little bit, on this project this week to get a little bit done. So that is the louder vest. Okay, next up I have, this was the one I was accidentally reading the measurements and stuff for. But now we're talking about this one. So this is the framed sweater by Andrea Mowry. I am still on my first sleeve. That's the back. This is the front. Wow, it looks so good. I'm so happy with the yarn choices. I'm so glad I went with higher contrast, because yeah, this detail would have been sad, I think, with the lower contrast, just because it didn't stand out as much, and with all of that work and detail, I want it to stand out. Not that a low contrast couldn't work, but I think for me, I'm very, very, very happy with these color choices. I am still on the first sleeve. I did not work too much on it, honestly. Like, I was here last time, and then I just finished. This is basically one chart repeat, like one repeat of the chart. So just one. I've only got through the chart once for the sleeve, and it's short. I still have more to go, so I just need to get it done. I think I said this last time, but working this color work chart in the, like, a smaller circumference, like a sleeve, is kind of a struggle for me. I don't know why, because again, like I said, I think last week, this top part of the color work is all worked flat, and I feel like I preferred working that flat than in a smaller circumference in the round. But I'm gonna get it done because it will be worth it and it will be cute, but it's just not something that I feel really like I want to reach for to work on right now. And also, again, it is kind of like that, like I'm attached to 2 different color yarn, and so it's just, if I'm watching TV or I want to knit while doing something else, it's really hard for me to choose this one to do because I can't. I have to pay attention, I have to look at a chart to knit this, and every time I'm like turning this around for every round and making sure my yarn isn't getting twisted. So yeah, that's kind of just like what's happening. Oh, I did want to mention, because I didn't notice this was happening for my size of the sweater. It said it in the pattern, but I kind of like didn't think about it and I kind of dismissed it. Okay, before I actually get to that, for reference, I am knitting size 2. I am using US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles for the ribbing, and then US 7, 4.5 millimeter needles for the body, and those are the recommended needle sizes. So I am knitting size 2, and for size 2, and probably for some other sizes as well, but definitely for size 2, the chart repeat for the sleeve is a little different. So as you can see, there's like alternating colors of this kind of like quilt star, right? And they alternate, right? For one, what am I trying to say? So like this one where the background color is brown, the ones next to it is the opposite, where the lighter color is the background color for the stars. However, for the sleeve, and they've always, for the body, have been, that pattern sequence is just basically kind of like right next to each other, and you just work that repeat. For the sleeve for size 2, because, this isn't the case for some of the other sizes, the amount of times for it to go around doesn't match up with the pattern completely to do the repeat, a even number of times. So under the arm, actually let me fold it like this because maybe you'll be able to see it better. You can see it, so this is the underarm side, and this is folded in half, right? And so there's actually just like half of one of the star patterns done first before you do the full one. And of course, same on the other side. At the underarm part, there's just half. But if you think about it, and I didn't think about it, even though you're like, oh, half and half, that it should work out for the pattern, it wouldn't, because the colors need to alternate, so it would have to be an even number of like quilt stars in like the circumference to work. And so it will look continuous in the pattern from either side of this. But if you look at the underarm flat like this, the halves that are worked, this right here down the middle, it actually might be hard to see what's happening, is actually the halves of 2 different styles of the quilt star. Okay, maybe you can see it right here. This is a line down the middle. So on this half, it is the quilt star where the background color is brown. And on this side, the half of the quilt pattern is the lighter color for the background. So that, when you have it in half like that, it still looks like it's following that pattern with the full repeats. I don't know if I can explain that totally in the best way, but I hope visually you can kind of like see what I'm talking about there. And again, the pattern said, oh, because, for this size or these sizes, the pattern repeat can't be fully repeated for the circumference. There is, a change. I just didn't think about it. But once I worked a bit more of it, I was like, what's going on? Like, it looks weird under the arm. when you look at it flat, but then I understood. So that's what's happening for this size, for this pattern. And so I thought that was very cool, and I was like, yeah, when you have kind of bigger repeats like this, for different sizes and for different circumference and for sleeves, you would sometimes have to do something a little different just to get that sizing right to fit the pattern. So I thought that was very interesting. And yeah, oh man, I really want this sweater to be done, but working these sleeves is just, I have to be in a specific mindset to work on them. So I am hoping right now I could get this sweater done by the end of the year. It's definitely possible if I put some time into it, but I think I have other projects I need to focus on first before I really kind of like give a lot more energy and time into this project. But I do love how it's turning out. I love the colors. I love how it feels. Speaking of loving how it feels, the yarn I am using for this is, so the brown main color here is Yarn Jam Natural Decay in the colorway Cedar. It's a beautiful darker brown color, and it is a Shanico wool base, as well as, you know, my handspun. So the contrast color here in the color work is my handspun. Also from Yarn Jam, the fiber is a Shanico wool as well. So all of the yarn in the sweater is a Shanico wool, and the colorway for the handspun is very special because it is from the Podcaster collection. It's the arieknits colorway, and it just is just so extra special for so many reasons, and I love it, and I'm so happy with it. So I wanted to mention, since I'm talking about Yarn Jam right now and the Podcaster collection, you have until the end of September. So if you're, as long as you're watching this video before the end of September, and this is going to go up September 29th, and so you'll just have, I think, a couple days or one day after this video goes up before the pre-orders close for the Podcaster collection. It is just till the end of September, but that's also crazy because this collection came out from Yarn Jam at the beginning of the month, and so I can't believe 1 month is basically gone already. Podcaster collection fiber in the natural Shanico base, and also the confetti tweed base, which is also Shanico but has colorful tweed bits in it, which is really cute. I can show you all some of that later as well. That the pre-order is still open until the end of September. If you haven't used my code yet, it is a one-time code for 15% off. The code is arieknits, same name as this podcast. I have it in the description down below as well. So if you have been thinking about it, you just have a little more time left to order some fiber for it, so definitely check it out. And if you don't spin, but you are curious on what Shanico wool feels like and what Shanico yarn will knit up like, I will say it is one of the best yarn. I mean, like, I really, really, really like it. And so, and I am, again, using one of Yarn Jam's Shanico yarn for this sweater, and it's so amazing as well. So definitely also check that out. You can't use the discount code for yarn. It's only for the Podcaster collection fiber, but I don't know. I think everyone should try out some Shanico yarn. It is so, so good. Okay, so did I talk about needle sizes yet for this? I don't know. Oh, I did accidentally when I was talking about the ladder. I am using US 5. Actually, did I already? It's okay. I'll do it again just in case. US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles for the ribbing, and then US 7, 4.5 millimeter needles for the rest of the body. I do think I said that already, but, you know, just in case. It's also all, again, in the description down below. And yeah, that's my framed. It is, I think it's just going to be slow going for this sweater, but it is what it is. It will be good and totally worth it when it's done. Okay, next up, I just quickly have a note to say I am still working on my secret test knit for Sari Nordland for her book, and I just need to double check this. So if you haven't seen some of my previous videos or more recent ones, I am doing a test knit for Sari Norland for her second book, which is going to be, I think, a spring release. So more kind of spring and summer kind of knits and garments in that book. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but the name of the top that I'm doing is called the Venus top, and I can't share details about the construction of it or what it looks like, but because I am working on it, I do kind of just want to make sure I'm mentioning it, because at some point, once Sari Norland starts releasing pictures of the patterns and starts talking about them, I will be able to show my version of it. And so it won't be until next year, most likely, but yeah, I'm really excited to be working on this test knit. It is a very short timeline for this. So it is a tank top. It's all over lace, fingering weight, and so it's kind of taking a while, but the test deadline for this, we were given 4 weeks for this, and so it's really, really, I think, a pretty short timeline. I think now it's like 2 weeks have been done, so should be about halfway done, and I need to kind of like get going on it. Right now I'm working on the body, and so the rounds, again, just take longer when you're kind of joined for the body. So I just have to get going on that, and yeah, just makes me, it's a little sad that, I can spend a lot of time working on this test knit, but I can't show it to you all on the podcast, at least not yet. So, but I just want to mention it just in case, or not just in case, but just, it is something that I'm working on during the week, and so I just want to mention it, but it'll just be quick because I can't share too much, and so I feel sad I can't share about it, but those are the rules. And so yeah, one day I'll be able to share it though, so that should be exciting and something I'm looking forward to. Okay, next up I have on the list of things to talk about is my Culmination blanket by Lindsey Fowler. So this is a part of a knit along, and the idea for this knit along is that so this blanket is just knit squares, and that you sew together or kind of like crochet together to make a blanket. And so the idea is if you knit from the start of the knit along up until the end of the year, if you knit 2 squares a week, then by the end of the year you'll have a full blanket. And I am trying to get a little more than 2 squares a week done so that I just like to be early on things. If there's not a strong deadline. I mean, there's a deadline for the knit along, I guess, but it doesn't matter if I finish it by then, but it's something I'd like to do. But anyway, I knit 3 squares this week, and let me just hold them up all together, and then I will talk about all of the yarn that I use for them. I was feeling very pink and peachy this week, as you can tell. They're all very similar and just light colored compared to like the other week where I made many different colors. But let me start with the first square that I made this week. So this one, it actually looks very similar to one that I made last week where I used a variegated Suri. This one was, and it was a very similar color story, so I said that I was going to do this. So I used 3 different kinds of yarn to knit this square. And so I'm pretty sure what I did was I have 2 fingering weight yarn and I have a Suri, and so I did Suri I held by itself, and then both of the fingerings I held double, and so it was working with 5 strands of yarn, which is absolutely crazy. Sometimes kind of hard to keep track of, but it's not too bad once you kind of like get the hang of it. So this one for the yarn, I can't remember. This is, I'm pretty sure, some kind of like tonal pink yarn. And then this one is, I'm like pretty sure this is a light fingering yarn, Lobby and Amy. I'm pretty sure this is the yarn I used for my big cozy cardi. And so this is like, it's slightly variegated, like pink and gray. really cute, but I did have leftovers, and so I thought that would be a good, this would be a good project to use some of that. And then I had some of this Suri left. This was Explorer-Knits Suri in Summer Solstice. I'm pretty sure that's Summer Solstice. Light pink, some darker pinks, and also really, really light blue in there. And you can see the blue more, at least in person, in the square. Just really, really light. But I thought that came out really cute. Just a light variegation once everything is held together. And so that was my first square this week. And then my second one I also really like. This one is definitely more of a peachy pink color. And you can't really tell on camera, but it's just also slightly variegated. But this time it was one of the fingering weight yarn that I had that's variegated. So, okay, this one I used, actually I need to look at my notes. How did I hold all of this yarn? Okay, so I did, oh yeah, okay, hello, that makes sense. Okay, so I used four different yarn colors to knit this square. So I had one Suri that I held by itself. This was like a light coral color. And then I'm pretty sure that this is Big Little Yarn Co. It might have been Sakura. It is a peachy kind of color. I held this double. And then I have these two smaller fingering weight that, because they're rolled up into, actually no, this one. Anyway, I just did one strand of each of these. This one is, again, just like a lighter pink coral kind of color. And then this one is my variegated in this yarn combination. This is Morning Ritual Explorer-Knits. Pretty sure it's Morning Ritual. It's from one of the Seattle collection colorways. Really cute color. And so I thought that that would go really well with this overall vibe of like an orangey pinky kind of color going. And I'm so happy that I am using up a lot of these just like, smaller bits of yarn. Also, what's really great about, okay, so my plan for this blanket, if you haven't noticed, is to just use yarn that I have that are scrap yarn, or just like leftover yarn that are not full skeins. So it's been really fun to look through for yarn combinations for this, and it also feels really great to be using up some of these leftovers. And because I'm not using any like skeins of yarn that I have, I don't have to wind up any yarn for this. And so when I'm picking out colors, I don't have to wind up yarn. Already have been wound up for me, and so that has been really great for this. But yeah, let me hold this up again. So that's what this one looks like, and I really, really like how that one turned out. And then the third square I worked is actually the same yarn combination that one of my squares that I showed last week. This was, I will just hold it up again just because I do have the yarn. This was a pink, kind of a more bluey pink, I guess. It's not orangey pink, with a really variegated Suri that's like in the middle here. And this is one of my favorite yarn combinations, I think. I think that really variegated Suri just softens up with being held with some tonal pinks, and I think it's so cute. And I had enough of those combinations of yarn to make a second square of this color combination, and so I went for it to make another one. So yeah, that's how it's going. 3 squares this week, and yeah, it's feeling really good. I'm excited. I'm still like eyeing at my leftover yarn stash to see what other color combinations I can come up with. I have a lot of pink and peachy colored yarn, and so a lot of this blanket will be that. And also, my plan is for all of the squares to have Suri in it, because I just love how it feels and how it looks with the Suri. And so It is a little bit of like matching up some of the yarn I have to some Suri colors that I have, and I'm pretty sure I'll have enough. I didn't calculate how much Suri I need to finish all the squares in the blanket, but I think I should have enough Suri to do that. Leftover Suri. I have some darker pinks that would be kind of nice, and maybe I might at the end, if I'm running out of, I just have a lot of light colored Suri. I don't have a lot of dark colored Suri, but I have some dark colored yarn leftovers, and so I might have to do a marl at some point with like a light Suri and a dark yarn, but we'll see when we get there. Yeah, I want to do a bit more. I have some like more orangey Suri, like actual orange. Well, I think maybe still kind of peachy, but definitely more orange than the ones I have right now. Yarn and Suri, and so that will probably be what I cast on for the squares for this coming week. But yeah, that should be fun, and this whole project has been pretty exciting, so I'm very happy about that. Okay, next up I have, and then another thing about the blanket really quick is that I sized down my needles, and I'm also like a little less bulky than the pattern recommends for like the combination of yarn. So I did go down to a US 10 or 6.0 millimeter needles for my squares, and so they will be a little bit smaller. I haven't blocked one yet to see what size it'll block out to, but right now they might be around 11 inches versus for the pattern the squares are 12 inches. So mine will be a little bit smaller, but if I reach the 30 squares at the end and I feel like I have enough yarn and I feel like I want to do it, I could add another row or something to make the blanket a little bigger. We'll see. So yeah, I'm just gonna play it by ear, but I'm having fun right now with it. So yeah. Okay, that's finished now with the Culmination blanket. Okay, next up, I made good progress on this. This is one of my test knits. This is the Biscuit Slip Over by Bridget, BZB Knits, and I finished the front. Okay, let me make sure I am showing, I have my stitch marker for the front. Yay, I finished the front. So this is a pattern that is worked flat, and that you seam the front and back together, and it's worked bottom up, just for construction notes for you to know. And so this is what I have right now. It is so cute. I am knitting size 2, and I'm using US 8 needles or 5.0 millimeter needles to knit this. I did have to size up like 2 needle sizes to get close to gauge for this. So that is one note. And the yarn I am using the kind of like recommended yarn for this, or the same yarn that Bridget used for her sample. And because she is, this pattern is in collaboration with ZZ Textiles, so we all testers had an opportunity to buy yarn for this test knit, and so I did. This is the Heirloom DK base from ZZ Textiles, and the colorway I got is Dusty Millet, and it's a really, really nice, like a dusty rose pink purple kind of color, and I'm really, really into it. So I feel like, let me pull my hair. My hair is getting so long. I really need to cut my hair soon, I feel like. But you can kind of get a similar idea for just like how it will look. Right now, if I stand up, you will notice it is quite cropped. It is, there are, in the pattern, there's instructions for cropped and full length, and I am doing the cropped one. That is kind of like my plan. What else? It is meant to be kind of something you wear over something like a dress, and so that the croppedness is kind of, you're still wearing something under it. Obviously, you can wear it in whichever way you like, but I do think it'd be cute like that. And so, yeah, I'm just loving that. Okay, this is a all-over syncopated brioche, which just means it is brioche and syncopated because you can see there are kind of like stripes of the brioche where it just switches where like that main knit purl is. And so it turns out looking like stripes of brioche, which is really cute. I learned some new techniques doing this so far. And so let me hold up this neck. The neck shaping right here involved doing some brioche decreases, and I have done some brioche decreases, but I feel like it doesn't happen too often. And I don't think I've ever done brioche decreases with pearls, like a pearl brioche decrease. I think I've only ever done brioche knit decreases. So that was a bit of a learning curve for me, but totally worth it in the end, because look how just like nice that looks, like those stitches doing its thing. Very, very, very cute. Just looks so nice and neat. And I will say that I did do my decreases wrong on one side. Oh, and this was the other thing. So it wasn't only learning how to do brioche decreases, the purl decreases, but because you're doing it on both sides, you have to do the right and the left side, and they're different instructions, which maybe you could guess, but it was a lot of learning how to do brioche purl right and left decreases and brioche knit right and left decreases. So it was good. The instructions that are in the pattern, or like that are linked in the pattern for how to do them, good. One of them I did make a mistake, and it's because I just didn't read the instruction that was linked super closely, but I want to mention it just in case you run into the same problem. So whenever you're doing one of these decreases, you should have like a nice, you should see a nice decrease kind of knit. Yeah, like you see the slanted knit stitches, right? They look very nice. So I did one shoulder, did the decreases, and I was like, yeah, I think that's fine. I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but it looks fine. And then I did this side, and I noticed how nice this looked. And I realized that for me, on this side, which was the purl decreases, it did not look like this for me on this side. Now, whether you're doing the purl or the knit decrease, there will be a really nice column of, I guess it would be purl and knit, because it looks nice on the other side as well. But if you don't see a nice slanted decrease like that, then you might have done it wrong. That was the case for me, so I did rip back one side and redo the decreases, and I realized my mistake with the purl decreases. When there are a lot of, like, for the brioche decreases, how many times have I said brioche decrease? But when you're doing them, there is a lot of, like, slipping between your needles and slipping over and kind of, like, moving the stitches around. And the mistake I made for the purl decreases specifically is that I had my yarn, my working yarn, I had it in the back while I was slipping stitches between the needles, but it should have been in the front of my work. So that is my one tip for you if you're having trouble with a purl brioche decrease. Is just check whether your yarn is in the front or the back. And for the purling, it should be in the front for the most part. So, yeah. But that worked out really nice. This test is going really nice as well. Bridget is so quick to respond to people's questions, and I think it's really, really great. I have done a couple of her test knits so far, and they've all been really great. She's good with feedback and has adjusted accordingly for, future tests. And I think, you can just tell she puts in a lot of work and effort into the pattern and wants to get it right. And so I really, really appreciate that. And I think some people have posted some of their swatches, and some people also got, I think, also to the same point as me right now, where they finished the front. And I love everyone's colors. I can't wait to see it all. And it looks so cute like this. So I'm hoping the plan is this week to start the back. And since now I kind of like have a better understanding of what's supposed to be happening and the shaping and stuff, that maybe the back will go by a little bit quicker, just because I know kind of like what to expect, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is the Biscuit Slipover. I also love the name of this. I am obsessed. So yeah, Biscuit Slipover Test Knit by Bridget. Okay, just putting that back in the bag. I've been trying to be better at using my project bags this week, and so I did put a lot of my projects in project bags. I just feel like if I don't see the project, I'm never going to work on it. But then it does kind of create a whole mess of projects, and so project bags. I'm putting my project in a project bag. Okay, next up. Oh, my one new cast on this week. How could I... Well, I didn't forget. It's in my notes, but definitely can't forget to talk about this. So, last week was the start of the Cozy Comforts make-along that me and Bridget are hosting together, and the make-along is just to make any neck accessory. You can knit, you can crochet it. The one of kind of like the focuses of the make-along is to encourage people to use their handspun, and so it can also be, this make-along can also be like a spin to knit kind of make-along as well. But if you don't spin, you can still participate in this make-along as long as you make a neck accessory. Whips are welcome, and so you don't have to worry about that. If you already had something on your needles, you can still join the make-along. We are, this make-along is going until the end of the year, and so you have lots of time to make a cute neck accessory. This can be a scarf, a cowl, a shawl, literally any accessory that like touches your neck, basically. And so I think it's really fun. It is, the idea is like, you know, we want to get cozy for fall and winter, so neck accessories are kind of just like that extra cozy comforts feeling thing, you know? So that was the idea behind it. If you are having some trouble thinking of some pattern ideas, I would highly recommend checking out some of Bridget's patterns. And she was so nice to give my viewers of the podcast a 15% off discount code for all of her accessory patterns. And most of her patterns are accessory patterns, so she has a good amount of them. The code is arieknits, the same name as this podcast. I have it in the description down below as well. And you can use the code on Ravelry and also her website. And we have a hashtag on Instagram that you can use to post your projects. It is hashtag CozyComfortsMAL. And we also have a Discord channel. This is kind of like a new thing we added kind of like after the initial announcement of the make-along. So I have the link in the description down below to join the Discord channel. I don't know if there's a time limit or like a expiration on this link, so if you can't join it, then just, you can comment me, you can comment down below if you want to be added to the channel. You can message me on Instagram, and sometimes my Instagram messages, like, I don't get notified, or they go into like a weird like request message, and I just don't ever see those notifications, but I will try my best to look for that. If you want to join the Discord, and or you can also message Bridget, who is BCB Knits on Instagram as well, because we want you to all feel included and be a part of this make-along. It is a very chill Discord channel, just to share updates on your projects and to, just chat and talk and just feel all the cozy vibes. So yeah, that's been really fun. And okay, so that's all of me leading up to say my new cast on was something I cast on the first day of the make-along, and I was kind of thinking about different projects to cast on, but I was like, yes, I will do this. I cast on the with my handspun because I'm just feeling all of the good, like I want to, again, be encouraging of people to knit with their handspun. Anyway, handspun version of the brioche bias cowl. This is my first time knitting this pattern, but I've had it in my Ravelry library for some time, and I was just kind of waiting to figure out what yarn to use for it, and handspun it is. I think this is going to be really good. So this is what I have right now. Actually, Oh my gosh, I knew which direction okay, I think that it will be like this, like this, like this. Anyway, okay, so this is a cowl. It is knit flat, and then I think at the end you seam it to make the circle to go around your neck. The handspun I'm using is kind of special to me because it is a fiber. So I spun this from a fiber that I dyed myself, and this was like it was one of my more first attempts of dyeing fiber, and I really, really felted this fiber when I dyed it. When I went to spin it, it was so hard to spin. I was like, what's happening? But then I realized it's because I felted the fiber, but I really just like forced it into yarn. It was a super fine merino, and so it was really soft. It is still really soft. I just, maybe it could have been fluffier if I didn't felt it, but it's special because I dyed this fiber, and so it's even more special as a hand-dyed fiber turned into handspun. It's a really light pastel colors. It's probably hard to see in the ball there. You can definitely see those colors come out more in here. It's actually coming out a lot more colorful than I was expecting, seeing how the colors looked in the skein and even in the wound up ball version of it. Like the colors just like the pinks are a lot more pink than I was expecting. So I'm actually quite happy with this, that it doesn't look all one color. It's very soft pastels, but like still distinctive colors, and I really, really like that. This was a 3-ply as well, and so it's feeling very squishy and round, as they say, for the 3-ply yarn. For the brioche bias cowl, it is a one size pattern, but I think that, there are ways for you to adjust it as well. And it is brioche. Actually, what's really funny is it is a very similar, it's syncopated brioche, just like the biscuit slip over that I'm knitting for Bridget as well. So as far as counting the rows of brioche and knowing the syncopated part of switching, it felt really nice and intuitive after doing that a lot for the biscuit slip over. The pattern is just slightly different because for the biscuit slip over, the stripes basically of the different brioche syncopation is the same number of rows, but for this one it's different. So this one is this long, and then when you switch for the stripe it's shorter, and then long, and then short, and then long. So that was actually really fun, and I just had to make sure I remembered to count it like that. But it's been really good. I worked up a lot, I think. This was maybe done in just a few days, along with working some of my other projects. So, but yeah, it's been really enjoyable. And again, anytime I use my handspun, it just feels extra special and just this is much more fun to knit, I feel like. So yeah, it's been good. It's a nice, peaceful feeling working on this project because it is a super fine merino fiber. I think this would be really good for a cowl that will be, touching my neck. So yeah, that's also kind of the reason why I chose this for my yarn choice. And I am using US 3 needles, 3.25 millimeter needles to knit this. I did size down my needles for this, not really for any reason, not for any sizing reason, but just because my yardage actually for this is a little bit smaller than the yardage that the pattern requires, and so I'm hoping if I just get a little bit smaller gauge that I will be able to finish this cowl with my yarn. I do have some backup options if I run out of yarn for this, but I think I'll be okay, and if not, it'll be fine. But anyway, so that's the only reason why I sized down my needles. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I don't know, I'm just really happy. I don't know, I'm just feeling all the cozy vibes right now. And similar to like how I was saying I want to wear shawls all the time, I also want to wear more cowls lately. And so just to add one more to my collection would be super nice to have. So yeah. And I love knitting Bridget's patterns, so that's also another win. And I'm happy to be working on this because, yeah, I haven't knit this pattern yet of hers, and so to have it on my needles feels really nice. So that is the Brioche Bias Cowl by Bridget, BZB Knits. And it's looking so cute. Okay, so that was my one knit cast on for this week. And that is, yeah, that is the last whip that I have to talk about for this week for knitting. Now let's quickly move on to some spinning. Okay, I believe that I wanted to show you some of my finished handspun, but it was still wet last time. It was still drying, and now they are fully dried. So, and they smell so good as well. Okay, this is my finished yarn, finished drying, cute little skein of the Yarn Jam Arieknits colorway in the confetti tweed. I am really obsessed with how this is looking in the confetti tweed. It just looks like sprinkles to me in the best way, and just so fun. The Shanico base is so soft, so plump, and so squish. It just makes me so happy. I think that what I am going to do with this is to knit some mittens out of it. I think it would be really cute in mittens. I've been meaning to knit more mittens since, has it been like 1 year since I've last knit mittens? Possibly. But when it gets cold outside, I grab for them like all the time. And actually, this might sound crazy, but it's cold in my office. Like this week, I think there's like 2 days where it was so cold in my office that I needed to wear mittens during work. Those were fingerless mittens, and so I could still type. It was fine, but I just needed something like covering most of my hand. And again, okay, this is like another thing that I was like, before I ever owned fingerless mittens, I was like, what is the point? Because my fingers are the things that get cold. But when your hands are cold and you still need your fingers, fingerless mittens do keep your hands warm for the most part. You know, like I'm not outside touching ice, right? Where like, yeah, then I don't think they would really make that much of a difference. I don't know, like my fingers would freeze. But when you're like, I don't know, in my situation, in my office, it's pretty cold, my hands are cold, I don't know what to do, but I need to type still. Fingerless mittens, great, works well. I think it has to be certain conditions where it's not too cold, but not too hot, that they do warm up your hands. Anyway, I love my fingerless mittens, and I only have one pair, and I'd love to have more because I love using them. But I think that for these, I would make full mittens. I'm kind of thinking Amy Sure has a pattern where it is a fingerless mitten, but it also has like a thing that you could put over the rest of your fingers. And I would love to make that. I've been wanting to make her pattern of mittens for a very long time, and I wanted to make them with handspun. Again, I'm just like waiting for that right combination of handspun for mittens, and I think that this will be it. I think this is it. I think it'd be really cute in this. So right now I think that is the plan, but I also just want to keep this looking cute like this for a little bit before I even start thinking about knitting it up. So it's just so cute. So I'm very happy with how this came out. And then this has been a while since I've last talked about it, but this is my Sincere Sheep fiber. It was a merino and angora bunny roving. This was, I think, my first like fully like woolen spun fiber. It really felt so different spinning this long draw than some other fiber preps. So I have spun long draw with Rolex before, and and a bat, right? And so I think those are both also considered woolen prep yarn, but this one was like, I think that this was like an actual roving. So it was like a strip of fiber, but the fibers were all mixed together or like in orientation, and it was so different to spin long draw from it. It felt so smooth to do long draw with, and it was really, really nice. This yarn came out so nice. I want a sweater of this. And I can't because I only had this much fiber of it, total around 4 ounces. But I'd love at some point to have like a fully woolen prepped, woolen spun sweater. Like, how amazing would that be? I love woolen spun. And I would love to be able to spin that as well for a sweater spin. But, this is such a pretty skein. And, okay, when I talk about fluff from, like, the Shanico yarn is so poofy and fluffy. Like, it is compared to some of my other spins, but when you compare it to a woolen spun, like, yarn, okay, you can't see it in the skein, but, like, when this was when they were drying flat, laid out next to each other, this one was so poofy. I couldn't believe that they were the same amount of yarn, like around 4 ounces each. The puff, the floof, the airiness of the yarn just was like a massive, just like height. When I was laying out, this one was like this tall off of the drying mat, and the other one was like this much. So it was absolutely crazy. Now that it's washed and it's like finished and all of that, it really is just like so great. I don't know what I'm going to knit with it, but I really just kind of want it to stay in this form for a while, just to enjoy it as a little skein like this. I love it so much. It makes me really excited to do more woolen spun things. So I love a good, worsted spun yarn as well. I think it is my default way that I like to spin, but woolen spun, man, so good. This was the thing that really got me like, wow, I want more of it. So, not that I didn't before, but I think I might have cracked the code a little bit more on this spin than some of my other long draw woolen spins. I think some of my other ones turned out a little ropey just because I was trying to figure out how much twist to go in, and I might have over twisted some of it or overspun some of it. But this one feels less ropey. Maybe a little bit in some areas, still a little ropey, maybe a little overspun, but better. It's better, so good. But both of these, my recent new handspun skeins, I'm very, very happy with both of these and how they came out. Okay, so I did want to just show you all the actual finished versions of those handspun. And I did start my next handspun project. Let me hold it up. Okay, this is my first bobbin, my first about half, but it actually might be less than half. I am spinning. Man, it took me so long. It took me so long to figure out what I wanted my next spin project to be, but I finally committed. This is Yarn Jam, one of the podcaster collection colorways. This is the Marlene Knits colorway, and I got one braid of it, and so 4 ounces of a braid. I am doing a fractal spin. This time I am doing like a 1 to 3 fractal, and so I split the braid in half about. I never weigh those things, I just eyeball it. This time I think they're kind of different. The halves are, one is less. I think this is the half that is less, but about half. Spun one of the halves just end to end, and that is this half. And I'm working on the other half right now, and I split that half into 3 different sections. I usually do in multiples of 2, but this time the way I tried to split it in half, the second half also was not in half, and so I have it in 3 right now. So sometimes it just I don't split it in half that great when I'm eyeballing it. You could always weigh it and redistribute, but I feel like it's kind of hard to redistribute that if you split it lengthwise, because then you have to like grab a little, I don't know, unclear, unsure. I don't want to think too hard about it, and so I just don't. I kind of just like let it be what it is. But anyway, I'm really happy to be working on this now, and the colorways are so good in this. It feels very fall vibes right now. It is darker colors, definitely darker colors in my colorway for the podcaster collection, so it's nice to kind of, go back and forth between spinning with a light color and some darker colors, and just to keep it really interesting. And I'm loving these colors so much. I still like, I was thinking about getting a sweater quantity of this colorway, but I really have a lot of fiber in my stash right now, so I shouldn't. But it is really, really pretty, and I love the ways that the colors do kind of mix together with each other during like those color transitions in the fiber. Yeah, and it's just looking so good. So, I don't know if I mentioned this, or if you spin, you probably could have guessed, but I am going to do a 2-ply of this. And the plan for this, I am kind of like spinning this for a spin to knit thing for the Cozy Comforts make along. And my idea right now, I'm going to wait until I finish spinning to see because I feel like sometimes the colorways and fiber look different after they're spun up. But my plan is to make a vice versa shawl. It's another pattern by Bridget. I've made it before. I test knit it for her, but I did it in the smaller size, and I want to make the bigger size next. And I think it'd be cute to do a 2-colored handspun. So one half I want to use the Marlene Knits handspun, and the other half I want to use the Casey, the Young Folk Knits handspun colorway. And so I just need to wait to spin both of them to see if I still kind of like how all those the resulting handspun look next to each other, but I think that would be pretty cute. So yeah, that is my next handspun spinning project. So yeah, I'm very excited about that, and I'm really liking how it's bringing me into the fall vibes, I feel like. So yeah, it's been really nice. Okay, now, speaking of, I love transitioning from spinning into acquisitions, especially when I have a fiber acquisition. I feel like it's a nice transition. I do just have one acquisition for this week. I just got this in the mail yesterday, and it's so good. Okay, I know I have been talking about Bridget a lot lately, but she is a great friend, and I love supporting her and all of her great things that she is making. So I got a bat from her. She had like her second bat update on her website. Okay, look how cute this is. I am actually obsessed. Okay, I got this round of bats was called the Mocha Medley, and so she numbered all of them, and they're all kind of like different colors. This one I got Mocha Medley number 5. This time, what's different about this bat update, I do want to mention too, just in case you have been kind of like keeping an eye out or you haven't noticed, in this bat update, the bats are 100 grams. So in the previous one and the other bats that I've had, they were 50 grams, and this time they are 100 grams. So it is bigger little floof package, and this one, the fiber content for this is 84% undyed Romney, 11% undyed Gotland, and 10% hand-dyed silk. And so they all came from different fiber sources, which she lists on the label here. And yeah, she did such a great job. I love this one because it might be kind of hard to see, again, like in the camera, but it's basically this like darker brown fiber base, and these, I believe that this is probably like the silk sections, is this like purpley pink, just sections. I love pink, I love purpley pinks, and it just looks, I think it's a great color combination for this, and I had my eye on this, and so I finally just like got it, because I was like, oh, I'll wait, because if someone loves it too, I'll let them have it, but then it was still available, and I was like, all right, I'll get it. So I'm excited to spin with this, and yeah, just because I'm like, when I'm just like sticking my hand in it just to like feel the fiber, feels like it'll be really good. Again, it's a bat, and so it is, I think, considered a woolen prepped fiber, and so I've only spun with one bat so far. I think all the bats I own were all made by Bridget, and it was a really fun experience, and I'm just excited to spin with more bats, and I just have a lot of spinning projects that I want to do and work with, so I'm hoping I can get to this year, and maybe this could be one of my next Spin With Me videos. It's been a while, and I know I haven't uploaded my Spin With Me number 3 video yet. I finally found that Handspun skein, because I realized I didn't film the resulting yarn, and so I couldn't, after the move happened, I was like, I don't know where it is. I found it, and I still just need to record that section of the video before I can put it together. But, the goal, really, and I think I can do this, is to have that video up this year. Because I would love to film more Spin With Me videos as well, and I feel like doing a bat might be a great idea for one of those Spin With Me videos, too. So maybe this bat could be that project, and I think that would be fun. So, but yeah, again, I'm just like, I love seeing fiber like this as well, and so I do kind of just want to enjoy it in its form for right now before diving in. But also look how cute this label is. It's so cute. I just can't handle the cuteness. Okay, let's see. So that's all the acquisitions I have. And then as far as announcements, I've already talked about it, but the Cozy Comforts Make-Along is happening. We're in the middle of it. We're still at the start because we have until the end of the year. But a reminder also, there are prizes for this, and so definitely get your, your projects going if you'd like. It's supposed to be a very chill and relaxed time, so there's no need to rush. But yeah, just wanted to bring your attention to that again. I'll probably talk about it every week, just until the make-along's done. Just because I'm, hosting it with Bridget, and so I want to just make sure we stay on top of it and remind you about it. And then, okay, exciting announcement. I had to make sure, didn't forget about this. Remember how I was saying that I want to finally do a yarn putting away, organizing video? Okay, as long as everything still goes as planned for the next week or so, next week, my plan is to do a live stream of me organizing and putting away all of my yarn in my cabinets, in my new craft room. The plan is to do it on Sunday, October 6th, and so it'll be 1 week from when this video goes up. And so I still need to figure out how to exactly maybe schedule that. It will be on YouTube on my channel, so keep an eye out. If there's any changes or when I decide a time to do the live stream, it will be posted. I will have an announcement on my YouTube. It'll be before my next video upload, so just keep an eye out for an announcement on the YouTube. That's not, a regular podcast video, but I will be doing a live stream on my YouTube. Plan is October 6th. I don't know when yet. It might be later morning or early afternoon of that day, Pacific time. I'm really excited about it. Kind of nervous because I haven't done a live stream before, but I hope that it'll be fun. I hope that you can join me as well. And I do want to know, if I do the live stream on the Sunday, and I usually upload my videos on a Sunday, do you still want a normal podcast episode along with the live stream, or is the live stream just good enough for that week, for the Sunday? just let me know, because I'd be happy with either. But yeah, that's the plan, and that's my quick little just like announcement that I just want to get out there, just in case for those of you who only watch the podcast, just so you get a heads up. I will be posting also on my Instagram any updates around that live stream, and also, like when it'll be, the time, how to access it. I think I can probably set up like a place card or like a placeholder for it, so I still need to figure that out. So I basically have like a week to figure that out, but that is the plan, and I'm excited and nervous for it, but should be fun, and I just can't wait to get all of my yarn into its happy place in my room. So that is all I have to talk about today. I feel like that was kind of a lot. It was a good amount, but nothing too crazy. I hope you enjoyed it all, and I hope you're all kind of getting into the fall vibes at this time. And yeah, just leave a comment down below if you'd like for what you've been working on, because I love hearing about it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below as well. And I hope you're all doing well. And yeah, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next week, if not in podcast form, in the live stream. Bye!